Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember to leave a comment below to let us know where you're watching from and what time you're watching this in your area. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now let's begin. Sleepovers. They're supposed to be fun, right? Staying up late, eating junk food, playing games with your friends. But what happens when the laughter stops and something else takes over? When you realize that the house you're sleeping in isn't as empty as you thought. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories from people who survived sleepovers they'll never forget. Stories that will make you think twice before accepting that next invitation. These aren't just scary stories, these are warnings. Let's start with the first one. I was 11 years old when this happened, and even now, 20 years later, I still can't sleep in complete darkness. My best friend Sarah had invited me over for a sleepover at her grandparents' house. They lived in this old Victorian home on the edge of town, the kind of place that looked like it belonged in a horror movie, with peeling paint, a wraparound porch, and windows that seemed to stare at you. But Sarah loved it there, and I trusted her, so I said yes. I should have trusted my gut instead. We arrived just before sunset. Sarah's grandmother was this sweet old lady who smelled like lavender and baked cookies. Her grandfather was quiet, barely spoke, just sat in his rocking chair by the fireplace, staring at the flames. Sarah said he'd been like that for years, ever since her uncle disappeared when she was little. That first red flag? I ignored it. After dinner, Sarah and I set up our sleeping bags in the living room. The house was off. The floorboards creaked constantly, even when no one was walking on them. The walls seemed to groan, and there was this smell, faint but noticeable, like mildew and something else I couldn't quite place. Something rotten. Don't worry about the noises, Sarah said, laughing. The house is just old. But around midnight, the noises changed. We were both still awake, whispering about boys in school, when we heard it. A low, rhythmic banging sound coming from below us, from the basement. Thud, thud, thud. Sarah went pale. I mean, all the color just drained from her face. What is that? I asked. She didn't answer right away, just stared at the floor. Then, finally, she whispered, "We need to stay quiet." The banging continued, steady, deliberate, like someone or something was hitting the basement ceiling with something heavy. Thud, thud, thud. Sarah, what the hell is down there? She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. Promise me you won't go down there. Promise me. I promised. But that didn't stop what happened next. The banging stopped, just like that. Complete silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring, that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. Then, we heard the basement door creak open. Now, I need you to understand something. The basement door was at the end of the hallway, maybe 20 feet from where we were lying. We could see it from our sleeping bags, and we both watched, frozen in absolute terror, as that door slowly opened. No one came out, but we could hear breathing. Heavy, wet, like someone who'd been running or choking or both. Sarah was crying now, silently, tears streaming down her face. She pulled her sleeping bag over her head. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. Then the footsteps started. They were slow, deliberate, and they were coming toward us. But here's the thing. Whatever was making those footsteps, it was also dragging something. Something heavy that scraped across the wooden floor with each step. Scrapey step. I finally found my voice. Sarah, we need to get your grandparents. They can't help us, she sobbed. They never could. The footsteps stopped, right at the edge of the living room, right where the hallway met the space where we were lying. I couldn't help it. I looked. I wish I hadn't. There was a figure standing there. Tall, too tall. Its head was tilted at this impossible angle, like its neck was broken. In the dim light from the dying fire, I could see that its skin was wrong, gray, hanging off in places. And its eyes were completely white. No pupils, just white. And it was smiling. The worst part, it was holding a rope. And at the end of that rope, there was a person. Or what used to be a person. They were unconscious or dead. I couldn't tell. But they were being dragged behind this thing. Sarah was whispering something under her breath, over and over. I finally made out the words. It's Uncle Danny. It's Uncle Danny. It's Uncle Danny. The figure just stood there, watching us, that smile never changing. Then, after what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds, it turned around and dragged its victim back into the hallway, back toward the basement. The door creaked shut. We didn't move until sunrise. When Sarah's grandmother came downstairs in the morning, she found us both huddled together, wide awake, tears dried on our faces. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just made us breakfast and called my mom to pick me up early. As I was leaving, I saw Sarah's grandfather in his chair. He was staring at me with these hollow eyes. And then he spoke, the only words I ever heard him say. You saw him too, didn't you? I never went back to that house. Sarah and I drifted apart after that. She moved away a year later, and I heard through mutual friends that her grandparents both died within months of each other. The house was demolished, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. Thud, 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 coming from below. I was 14 when I learned that some games shouldn't be played. It was summer break, and my friend group, me, Jessica, Megan, and Ashley, decided to have a sleepover at Jessica's house. Her parents were out of town for the weekend, and she had the whole place to ourselves. We thought we were so mature, so grown up, staying in a house alone. We were idiots. Everything started normal. We ordered pizza, watched scary movies, did our makeup, the usual stuff. But around 1 in the morning, when we were all wired on soda and candy, Megan suggested we play a game. I found this online, she said, pulling out her phone. It's called The Midnight Guest. People say if you play it right, you can summon something. Ashley rolled her eyes. Come on, that's just creepypasta nonsense. But I could see the excitement in Jessica's eyes, in all their eyes. And honestly, I felt it too. That thrill of doing something forbidden. How do you play? I asked. I should have kept my mouth shut. The rules were simple. We had to turn off all the lights in the house. Then we'd sit in a circle in the living room with a single candle in the center. At exactly 1:11 a.m., we had to say in unison, Stranger, stranger, come inside. Stranger, stranger, please don't hide. Then we wait. If nothing happens by 2 a.m., the game is over and you've lost. But if something does happen, well, the instructions weren't clear on that part. We should have taken that as a warning. At 1:10 a.m., we sat in the pitch-black living room, the candle casting these long, dancing shadows on the walls. My heart was pounding, part fear, part excitement. Jessica started giggling nervously, but Megan shushed her. We have to take it seriously, Megan whispered, or it won't work. 1:11 a.m., we said the words together. Stranger, stranger, come inside. Stranger, stranger, please don't hide. Nothing happened. We sat there for maybe 5 minutes, and nothing happened. Ashley started to laugh. See, I told you it was stupid. 3 loud knocks on the front door. We all froze. Jessica's house was in a quiet suburban neighborhood. No one should have been out at 1 in the morning. And the knocks, they were too loud, too forceful. Don't answer it, I said immediately. But the knocks came again, 3 times, then 3 more times. They were getting more insistent. Knock, knock, knock. Maybe it's someone who needs help, Jessica suggested, but her voice was shaking. Knock, knock, knock. The knocks were constant now, not stopping. Over and over, getting louder, more violent, like someone was trying to break the door down with their fists. Then they stopped. Okay, Ashley whispered. That's enough. Game over. Let's turn on the lights. But when Jessica reached for the light switch, nothing happened. The power was out. That's impossible, Jessica said, flicking the switch up and down. We paid the bill. The power can't be. We all heard it at the same time. Scratch, scratch. Someone or something was scratching at the back door. Long, slow scratches, like nails on wood. Megan grabbed my hand. Her palm was sweating. We need to end the game. How do we end the game? I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and pulled up the instructions. My blood ran cold. Guys, there's an ending ritual we didn't see. We have to invite it to leave. What? How? We have to say, stranger, stranger, time to go. Leave this place. We told you so. But we have to say it at the same time. Or what? Ashley demanded. Or it stays. The scratching was coming from everywhere now. The back door, the windows, the walls. It was like the entire house was surrounded. And then we heard something that made my heart stop. A voice. Quiet. Whisper soft. But clear. Let me in. It was coming from inside the house. From upstairs. That's impossible. Jessica breathed. All the doors and windows are locked. I checked it myself. Something was walking across the second floor. Right above our heads. Heavy footsteps. Back and forth. Back and forth. We need to say the words now. I hissed. We joined hands. The candle flame flickering wildly between us. Together we said, stranger, stranger, time to go. Leave this place. We told you so. The footsteps stopped. The scratching stopped. Everything stopped. Then every door in the house slammed open at once. The front door, the back door, the closet doors, the bedroom doors upstairs. All of them. Just bang, all at once. And we heard running, fast pounding footsteps, coming down the stairs, racing toward us. We ran. I don't even remember making the decision. We just bolted. All four of us scrambled for the front door, screaming, tripping over each other. I looked back once, just once, and I saw it. A figure, at the top of the stairs. Impossibly tall and thin, its limbs too long. Its head, or where its head should have been, was just darkness. A void, and it was coming down the stairs. Fast. We burst out of that house, and didn't stop running until we reached the neighbor's house 3 doors down. We pounded on their door, hysterical, until they let us in and called the police. The police searched Jessica's house. They found all the doors open, just like we said, but they didn't find anyone inside. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was broken. Everything was exactly as we'd left it, except for one thing. In the living room where we'd been sitting, the candle was still burning, and around it, in a perfect circle, were wet footprints, like someone or something had been standing there, watching, waiting. We never found out what made those footprints. The prints didn't match any shoe size. They were just wrong. Too long. Too narrow. Not human. We never had a sleepover again. And I never played another game I found online. But sometimes, late at night, I hear 3 knocks on my bedroom door, and I never answer. I was 9 years old when I met my best friend. Or at least, I thought I did. Her name was Lily, and she was the new girl at school. Quiet. Shy. She sat alone at lunch, and I felt bad for her, so I invited her to sit with me. We became instant friends. She told me she just moved to the neighborhood, just a few streets away from me. When my mom said I could have a sleepover for my birthday, Lily was the first person I invited. That was my first mistake. Lily arrived at my house just after dinner. She was carrying this old-fashioned suitcase, like the kind from the 1950s, but I didn't think much of it. She was always a bit odd. That was part of why I liked her. We played games, braided each other's hair, told stories. My mom even came in to say goodnight around 9:30. She smiled at both of us and told us not to stay up too late. Everything was perfect, until I woke up at 2:47 a.m. I remember the time exactly because my digital clock was right next to my bed, and its green glow was the only light in the room. I didn't know why I'd woken up. I just had this feeling, that creeping sensation that someone is watching you. I turned over and saw Lily. She was sitting up in her sleeping bag, just sitting there, staring at the wall. "Lily," I whispered, "you okay?" She didn't respond, didn't move, just kept staring. I reached out and touched her shoulder. "Lily." She turned her head to look at me, but her body didn't move, just her head. It rotated slowly, impossibly, like an owl, until she was facing me while her body still faced the wall. And she smiled. "Do you want to play a game?" she asked. But her voice, it wasn't right. It sounded like her voice, but layered with something else. Something deeper, older. "It's almost 3 in the morning," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We should sleep." "Just one game," she insisted, her head tilting further, way further than it should have been able to. "Just one." I wanted to scream. I wanted to run to my parents' room, but I was frozen. "What game?" I managed to ask. Her smile widened. Too wide. I could see too many teeth. "Hide and seek, but special hide and seek. I hide, and if you find me before sunrise, you win. And if I don't," I whispered, "then I get to stay. Forever." Before I could respond, she moved. Not walked, moved. 1 second she was sitting in front of me. The next she was gone. Just vanished. The sleeping bag was empty. The room was suddenly freezing. I could see my breath. My digital clock started flickering, the numbers scrambling. 2:47, 3 hours 61 minutes, 8 hours 99 minutes. 2:47. I didn't want to play. I wanted to hide under my covers and wait for morning. But then I heard my mom's voice from downstairs. "Sweetie, can you come here for a second?" Relief flooded through me. Mom was awake. Mom could help. I jumped out of bed and ran downstairs, my feet padding against the cold hardwood. The living room was dark. "Mom," I called out. "In here, honey." The voice was coming from the kitchen. I pushed open the door and saw Lily. She was standing in the middle of the kitchen, in the darkness, her back to me. She was humming something. That children's song, "Ring Around the Rosie." "Lily, was that you calling me?" She stopped humming. Slowly, she turned around, but her face was wrong. It was my face. She looked exactly like me. Same hair, same pajamas, same everything. But her expression, it was all wrong. Like someone wearing a mask of my face. Someone who didn't quite know how to make it look natural. "Surprise," she said in my voice. "You found me." I stumbled backward, hitting the door frame. "What are you?" "I'm Lily," she said, taking a step forward. "I'm your best friend. Remember? You invited me here." No, you're not." "But I am," she interrupted, and suddenly her face wasn't my face anymore. It was changing, shifting, cycling through different faces. A blonde girl, a boy with freckles, an old woman, a man with no eyes. Each face lasting only a second before morphing into the next. I've been invited to so many sleepovers, so many houses, so many friends. Most don't find me before sunrise. The room started to change. The walls seemed to breathe, and I could hear them, voices, dozens of voices, whispering, crying, calling out, "Help me. I want to go home. It's so cold. Please, I want my mom." "What did you do to them?" I asked, tears streaming down my face. The thing wearing faces smiled. "They're with me now. Forever. We play games every night. Hide and seek. Red light, green light. Tag." The smile fell. "You're running out of time. The sun rises in an hour. If you don't find the real me by then, you'll join them." It lunged at me. I ran. I ran through my house, my familiar, safe house that suddenly felt like a maze. Every room I entered was wrong, stretched, distorted. Photos on the walls showed people I didn't recognize. The furniture was in the wrong places. And everywhere, I could hear that humming. "Ring Around the Rosie." I tried my parents' room. Locked. I pounded on the door, screaming for them, but there was no answer. Just silence. Pocket full of posies. The bathroom. Empty. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw dozens of faces staring back at me. Children. All around my age. All terrified. Ashes. The basement. I didn't want to go down there. Every instinct screamed not to. But I was running out of options. Running out of time. The basement stairs creaked under my feet. It was pitch black. I felt along the wall for the light switch. Found it. Flipped it. The light flickered on. And I saw them. Children. dozens of children, standing in the darkness of my basement, facing the walls, motionless, silent. Some were in pajamas from decades ago. Others were in clothes I'd never seen. They were all just standing there. "Found me," whispered a voice right behind me. I spun around. The real Lily, or what I thought was the real Lily, was standing on the stairs behind me. She looked normal again. Small, scared, crying. "Please," she whispered. "Please help me. I've been trying to leave for so long. It won't let me. It takes someone new, and then it keeps them, and it uses them to find others, and... how do I stop it?" I asked urgently. Through the basement window, I could see the sky starting to lighten. Dawn was coming. "The suitcase," she said. "You have to burn the suitcase. That's where it lives. That's what it uses to travel. But you have to do it before." She never finished her sentence. Something grabbed her from behind and pulled her backward into the darkness of the basement. She didn't even have time to scream. The children against the walls all turned their heads at once. Just their heads, bodies still facing the wall, and stared at me with empty, hollow eyes. I ran back upstairs, my lungs burning, and I found that old-fashioned suitcase in my room, right where Lily had left it. The sky outside was getting lighter by the second. Pink streaks across the horizon. I grabbed the suitcase. It was ice cold and heavier than it should have been, and ran outside to our backyard. My hand was shaking so badly I could barely hold my dad's lighter. The thing appeared in my bedroom window. All those faces cycling through, faster and faster, all of them screaming silently at me. I flicked the lighter. The suitcase caught fire immediately, burning with flames that were unnaturally bright, unnaturally hot. And the screaming, oh God, the screaming. It wasn't just one voice. It was hundreds, thousands, all the children it had taken, crying out at once. The sun broke over the horizon. The screaming stopped. I collapsed on the grass, sobbing as the suitcase turned to ash. When I finally looked back at my house, everything was normal. The lights were on. I could see my dad in the kitchen making coffee. It was like nothing had happened. I went back inside on shaky legs. My parents were surprised to see me up so early. They asked where my friend was, the girl from the sleepover. I told them she'd left early. Her mom picked her up. They seemed confused but didn't push it. And when I went back to my room, Lily's sleeping bag was gone. Her things were gone. There was no evidence she'd ever been there. At school on Monday, I asked everyone about the new girl, Lily. No one knew who I was talking about. The teachers said no one knew had enrolled. I checked the class photos. She wasn't in any of them. She never existed. Or maybe she existed a long time ago, and the thing just used her face, her name, used her to get invited into homes. I never had another sleepover, and I never invite someone I don't know inside my house, because sometimes the friend you think you're helping is the monster you're inviting in. So there you have it. 3 sleepovers, 3 nightmares, 3 people who survived things that shouldn't exist. The next time you're invited to sleep somewhere unfamiliar, the next time you hear strange noises in the dark, the next time someone suggests playing a game you've never heard of, maybe think twice. Maybe say no, because some invitations aren't meant for the living. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you have your own sleepover horror story, share it in the comments below. We read every single one. And remember to subscribe and turn on notifications, because we post new true horror stories every week. Stay safe out there, and whatever you do, don't fall asleep in strange places.